This Interac tip video will look at one method of doing task management in Job Cost. It will cover an overview of managing tasks, adding a task, creating a task report, flagging a task as complete. We'll review some output options. Task management tracks open and completed tasks on a project in Job Cost. It provides a convenient method of managing tasks, is very simple to use, and stores all tasks in one centralized location, your Interac database. Compare this to multiple people having multiple lists in multiple fashions on multiple PCs. Sample tasks on a job may be purchase a bond, obtain a permit, provide as-built documentation, final retainage build, and tasks can be standardized for all projects, such as bond purchased, unique for each project, or more likely, a combination of standard and unique tasks. We use phases for tasks. Phases have a 7-digit maximum on a project. It is suggested to add phases tasks to follow your existing phases. For example, if you're using a 5-digit phase number, you might use a 6-digit number for your tasks. Fields we're now going to look at are suggested fields. You could use different fields in the event you're already utilizing the ones in this presentation for a different purpose. To add a task, we utilize certain fields. These are 102 for the task description, such as purchase permit. 104 we set to a 2, and that classifies this as a memo phase rather than its default standard phase in Interac. We might use this for testing on reports. 109 is our plan date, and here we put the target date in for the event. Let's look at adding a task. We are in Job Cost. We'll go to Settlement Maintenance, Master File Maintenance, and first, before we add a phase, I'm going to scroll, and you will see that on my jobs I am using a 3-digit phase number. Therefore, I will use a 4-digit phase number for adding our tasks. We'll add a task. We'll use phase 1000. Put in a description. Purchase bond. And we're going to set field 104 for it to be a documentation phase, a memo phase. And we'll put a target date in of 01/31/2020. And that's it. We'll add another phase on that project. Phase 1010. And I'm numbering by 10 so I have room to insert something if I wish to later. Obtain permit. Again, I'm going to set my use code to be a documentation use code, and we'll put a date in of 02/15/2020. So we've added 2 tasks on that project. I'm going to add one more task on the next project. And again, we'll do purchase permit. And I'll put a target date in of 03/01/2020. So that completes adding some tasks, and we will now run a report. This is the report we intend to create, and I would like to point out a few things on it so it will make sense when we create it. We're using an overline, which is something that's not used commonly, but it is very useful in this case. We're using it as a heading with our tasks underneath, or our phases underneath. If we had put the overline over here, then the report would be very much indented and much wider. But by using an overline, it makes for a nice looking report. We are also putting a blank column in right here to indent the phases over, so the report reads a little bit from left to right. Scrolling down, you will see that we are page breaking by job number. So we are on another job and doing a page break. And to do that, we have an invisible column here, which is the job number, which is only there for purpose of breaking the page. Okay, let's take a look at creating a report like this. We will go into Setup Maintenance, Design Custom Report, and we're going to create a new report called TSK for Task. It's going to be a report, and since I'm using overlines, I'm going to do that the very first thing. We are going to choose for our overline our job number and our job description. Certainly you could choose more items for the overline if you wish, such as project manager's name and so forth, but this is what we'll use. Now we'll add columns, and if you'll recall, I had a blank column on the very left to indent the phases over. So I'm coming over to additional options. I'm going to choose blank, and I'll make it about 5 wide. So we can see we have our indentation. Next we will choose from the master file phase number 101. And I'm going to change the heading to be task. Next I will choose, I already know the field number, so I'm going to enter 102 instead of looking it up. And we'll call it task description. Next we will choose our date, our target date. And now we will choose a field we haven't used yet that we will use when we go to complete a phase. We're going to choose field 107, which we will see used in a few moments. And this is going to be our status. And we're going to set up a translation table that when a 0 comes in, which is the default value, it is incomplete. And if there's a 1, it's completed. So we'll translate these digits into these values. And I'm going to expand our width of our column a little bit more here to handle those larger descriptions. And our last field, one again we haven't used yet, is going to be our completed comments. So that takes care of the fields we wish to have on this report. We will go to page format, give it a name, task report. We will double space it, and we'll do shading. And I just realized I forgot one field. We need to put in a field for it to break on the job number. So we will insert field 1, we'll insert before column B the field number 1. We're going to make it a 0 width so it doesn't appear. We don't need to see it because it will be on the overline. We're going to go to Options and tell it to break, so it'll break whenever the job number changes, and we'll tell it to go to a new page and start the page numbers over. Our last task is to go into line conditions if we wish to have a report of tasks only and say it's mandatory. Field 104 is equal to number 2. And that's the field that we flagged phases as being documentation phases. Press OK, and we should be finished. We will now run the report. Task report. Note we could go to a spreadsheet if we wanted to. I'll use Document Manager to run it to the screen. Here's our report. As we discussed earlier, we are using an overline. Here it is here, and we could have more fields on there if we wish to. We have a blank column in order to indent this over. We have an invisible column of the job number, which serves only to do a page break when the job number changes. Our target date, our status, which uses a translation field to change 0 to incomplete and 1 to completed. And if we scroll down, we'll see that we have a page break on the next job, and it starts off with page number 1. So it's pretty easy to make up a task report with the report writer. Let's look at what it takes to flag a task as complete. Fields used to complete are 107 equals 1. This flags an item as complete, which we can use for report testing. We could report on all tasks, which means we would put no test in at all on field 107. We could test on uncompleted tasks only by setting a test on a report where 107 must equal 0. Or we could flag only on completed tasks where we would then set field 107 to be equal to 1. And the second field we use is 108. And here's where we can make a completed comment, such as a date completed, permit number, or something like that. Let's take a look at how to do it in Interac. We will go back into job maintenance, make a change to job 88001, phase 1000. And again, all we have to do is in 107 put a 1, flagging it as complete, and then enter whatever we wish to have for our description. I'll put, this was for, if we look up above, for purchasing a bond. I'll put the date it was completed on. And if we wish, we can put a bond number in. That's all it takes. Let's go back and rerun our task report, and we will see what it looks like. And again, I'll run it to Document Manager. As you can see, here's our report, and our status on the first item now says completed instead of incomplete. And we have a completion comment, which we placed a date and a bond number. We have a number of output options. We can print a report. We can print a report to the screen. We can change report conditions or other report elements for sorting and so forth. We may need to add a test to your existing report to suppress tasks if you do not wish to have them there. We can use Report Manager to print a report or export. JobStream can automate reports and creation of spreadsheets if desired. And we could automatically email reports if we're using Document Manager to each project manager. We could query direct into Excel with VisualLink with no report necessary at all. In summary, basic task management is pretty easy. I would suggest adding 1 or 2, trying it out, and then add more from there. This allows you to track tasks by job, and again we have multiple reporting options.